Today our notes were on unit conversion. So we talked about how if you're going to find the volume of the pool, you have to have everything in the same units. We can't find the volume and times the 50 with the 27.5 with the 7 feet because that's times in meters and yards and feet. Everything has to be the same units. So for this one, we're going to turn everything into feet, and then we're going to plug it into the volume formula. So the first thing we're going to start with yards and take 27.5 yards, and we're going to turn yards into feet. So if you have 27.5 yards, I can always put any number over 1, because if I have 27.5 over 1, it's still 27.5. And then we know we want yards to feet, so we're going to use this because it has yards and feet in it. Then I also know that I'm going to need yards to go away and to be left with feet in the final number. So this is just a side note, but if you know, we know if we have 10 over 10, that would be the same as 1, because 10 divided 10 is 1. So notice how, right, 10 equals 10, right? Just like here, 1 yard equals 3 feet. So we are going to be multiplying, and what we're really doing is multiplying by 1, because 1 yard is equal to 3 feet. So what we're going to do here, and we can't just put them anywhere we want. We can't put just 1 yard on top, 3 on the bottom, or 3 on top, 1 on the bottom. We have to be specific about where we put the 3 and the 1. So if you look here, we have yards here, and we have yards here. Yards is what has to cancel out. So if we already have yards on the top, then we are going to need yards on the bottom so that they are going to cancel out. So we're going to put the 1 yard on the bottom, because if I have 1 yard here, if I have yards on the bottom and yards on the top, yards over yards cancels out. And I know 1 yard is equal to 3 feet, just like if I say 2 is equal to 2, then 2 over 2 is 1. So again, what we're really doing with this is really equal to the number 1. We're going to times by 1. I know it's confusing because it's hard to think about units, but we're really just timesing by 1, because 3 feet on top is equal to 1 yard. They are the same exact thing. So going to get rid of this. Okay, so we put 1 yard on the bottom because yards has to cancel out, so yards over yards, and then the 3 feet on the top. Now we got to remember the way that we multiply fractions is straight across. And now I'm going to do 27.5 times 3, and I got 82.5. So I got 82.5 here. And notice on the top, all I have now for my units is feet, which is what we wanted. We want it to be feet. On the bottom, I got 1 times 1. So on the bottom, the yards are canceled out, so I just have 1 times 1, and that's 1. Well, any number over 1 is just the same number as the top. If you divide those out, it's still just 82.5 feet. So far, we know that the length of the pool in feet is 82.5. Okay, so now we have to take the next units we have, and we're going to do the same thing. Okay, so we're going to switch it. We've taken care of 27.5. We've turned that into feet. And then the 7 feet here must be the height, because that's the one that wasn't said. So we've got the height, we've got the length. So now we need to take this meters and change that into feet also. So I'm going to have 50 meters. Again, I can put that over 1. And notice here, I'm not going to use the yards and the feet because that doesn't have meters in it anywhere. I have to be using something that has meters. And notice here, I've got meters and I've got feet, which is awesome because I can go straight from meters to feet. So what we're going to do, we're going to multiply the fraction again just like last time. So remember, 1 meter is equal to, they're the exact same thing. These two are the same length exactly. So 1 meter is about 3.3 feet. So if I have a ruler, it's about 3 rulers and then a little bit more. That's a meter. So what we have to look at and where we put the feet or the meters, we've got meters on the top. As you notice here, we got meters on top, so we are going to want meters on the bottom, so the meters cancel. And the number 1 goes with the meter, so I got to have 1 and then meter. And 1 meter is equal to 3.28084 feet. So remember, these are exactly equal. I'm just timesing by 1. Okay, so meters is on top, meters is on bottom. They cancel out. I'm going to multiply straight across. Okay, so I put that in my calculator. I got 164.042. So now if you look on the top, that's the number I got, and I've got feet left on the top. So I bring feet over here. On the bottom, I got 1 times 1. There's no more meters, so I just have 1 times 1, so I have 1 on the bottom. But 164.042 divided by 1 is still going to be 164.042 feet. Okay, so that is now our feet, and that is our length. Oops, I called this one. Okay, sorry. This is the width right there. That's the one we already did. Width. Sorry to confuse you. The width is the 82.5, and then we just changed the length into feet. So now we have our three values. Length, width, and height. So we're going to multiply those together to find out the volume, because volume is length times width times height. So we're going to just multiply those values together. I multiplied those all together and I got 94,734.255, but I just rounded it to 6. And notice when we did that, we multiplied 7 feet times 164 feet times 82.5 feet. So we were timesing feet times feet times feet. Also, to help us understand this, just a side note again, if I have 4 times 4 times 4, if we remember, that's exponents. That's 4 to the 3rd power. That's what that means, 4 cubed. Therefore, if I have feet times feet times feet, I have feet cubed. Okay, the 4 times 4 doesn't have anything to do with this problem, but it just helps us understand that feet times feet times feet is feet cubed. And so that would be the volume in feet of the pool. These are just really helpful and good things that you should know, conversions that you should know. We're going to skip some of these pages here. Move on. Okay, so we'll start with this. Okay, it says find the perimeter and area of the baseball diamond in yards when one side length measures 90 feet. And in this case, it looks like we're going to change into yards. Oh yeah, it does say in yards. Okay, so we want the perimeter and we want the area. I'm going to start with perimeter. If I want perimeter again, remember that means we're going to add all four sides together and find the total. So we know all four sides, since it's a square baseball diamond, we know all four sides are the same. They all run the same distance from each base. So, and we want to find this in yards. So I need to take that 90 feet, that's the length of each side, and I need to change that into yards. So again, we're going to put this over 1. I can do that. Anything over 1 is okay. And again, because these are equal, if I put one on top of the other, whether it's 3 feet over 1 yard, or it's 1 yard over 3 feet, these are all equal to the number 1. So I'm going to times this fraction by either this fraction here or that fraction there. They're both equal to the number 1. And the way that I tell which one I am going to put is I've got feet on the top, so I'm going to need feet to go on the bottom. And that would be the second one that I wrote there. So I'm going to put 3 feet on the bottom and the 1 yard on the top. So we know the feet cancel out. And if I multiply straight across, I've got 90. And no more feet, I just have yards. So 90 times 1 is 90. On the bottom, I got 1 times 3, which is 3. And the feet is gone. It's canceled out. And so now I've got 90 yards over 3. Well, 90 over 3 is the same as division. So 90 divided by 3 would be 30 yards. So now I know each side around the baseball diamond is 30 yards. And I have 4 of those, so I'm going to do 30 plus 30 plus 30 plus 30. I'm hoping that you know that that is the same as just 4 times 30, or 120 yards total for the perimeter. So I don't have room, but P is equal to 120 yards. So now we want to find, the area. But I already have my yards, so I can just use the 30. Area of a square is base times height, or length times width, whichever way you think about it. We know that each side is 30 yards. So I know the base and the height, or the length and the width, is 30 and 30. So I'm going to do area is 30 yards times 30 yards. 30 times 30 is 900. And because it's yards and yards, I've got yards times yards, remember like last time. That would be yards squared. So there's the area for the baseball diamond.